I had a baby a few months ago and I thought I was ready, but in reality, I wasn't. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back. Today, I offer you a little bit more of a personal video. No crazy edits, not a lot of B-roll, and not a lot of music in the background, because I just want to speak from my most recent experience of becoming a mom, which is still really weird for me to say. In fact, Mother's Day is coming up and I almost feel like I shouldn't be part of this because I just became a mom. At the same time, my day-to-day amount of work has quadrupled or even more than that. I had a baby a few months ago and I thought I was ready, but in reality, I wasn't. I saw a lot of cute baby videos on Instagram where the moms would put the newborn baby on the bassinet and go off and do their hair, go on to work, clean the kitchen, have a snack. So what actually happened when we brought our newborn into our home was completely unexpected on my end. I barely slept. There were some days that I would maybe sleep for 2 hours. She definitely wasn't easy to just put to nap somewhere while we went off and did something else. No, a lot of the time I had to carry her. In fact, 100% of her naps for the first 3 months happened either in a car, in a stroller, or while I was carrying her. So the advice of sleep when baby sleeps, well, unless I had someone to help me, it just wasn't the case for me. And I've heard that some newborns are a little bit easier when it comes to sleeping. It just wasn't for me. Becoming a mom made me question a lot of what I thought about stay-at-home moms, a lot of what I thought about gender roles, especially becoming a mom to a little girl. It definitely made me rethink womanhood, independence, and even modern feminism. This isn't a parenting blog, okay? It's a reflection of what motherhood taught me in this very brief 5 months from a historical, psychological, and a very tired point of view. Last night, I got my full 8 hours of sleep. Yes, my baby was really good through the night, even if I still have to wake up to feed her. But the previous 2 nights, I was lucky if I got 5 hours of sleep. It is a constant roller coaster because once I thought I had something down, once I thought she was sleeping better and only waking up once or twice, suddenly the first part of the night was full of wake ups every 30 minutes, putting me going to bed maybe after 1 a.m. and having to wake up still at 7. You know, if you go back to my old videos, really go back in 2021, maybe 2022, when this concept of being a mother was very theoretical for me, very much all of the things that I have seen on social media, especially from the conservative space, that's where I saw a picture, or I was painted a picture of what motherhood was like, or what being a stay-at-home mom is like. But experiencing it firsthand is very different. It's very different. And I think a lot of women that are online making content of being the perfect stay-at-home mom, having that be the thing that fulfills them and having them not need anything other than being a mother, which is a huge job in itself, don't get me wrong. It is one of the most important jobs, and I really do think that, especially more now. Before, it was, again, theoretical, but now I see it. However, with that said, sometimes I saw my husband leave for his job, where he doesn't enjoy 100% of the time, but I felt jealousy because he got to go and speak to adults, and I instead had to stay at home in these 4 walls without any kind of adult interaction. And I was feeling, maybe I shouldn't be thinking this, maybe I shouldn't be feeling this. Is this wrong of me to want something aside that is just for me, that is connecting to the other abilities that I have outside of motherhood? So in a way, I almost feel guilty for thinking these things. This is my cat's tail. If you see that, it's my cat's tail. If you know anything about female archetypes, you probably know that not all women will get the same level of pleasure from having children. Some women will love having a lot of children and dedicating themselves fully to them. And once those children leave home, once those children grow up, they feel that pain, that emptiness so much more than other women who, though may enjoy motherhood, it is a part of their identity, but they don't put their whole lives around it. Now, I'm not saying one role is better than the other. I'm sure those women make wonderful mothers, and all of the archetypes of women are needed, I believe. And maybe we can discuss the actual archetypes in a future video. But I just realized like the picture being painted in the conservative space was not entirely accurate, especially because a lot of those women that making those videos, making that content, they do have a career on their own, which is on their social media. Even if their entire social media is around, or the topic is their motherhood. But not all of us want to make content about motherhood. I honestly thought that after having my daughter Cece, and this is an aside, 3 weeks later I will be able to go work out. Now I realize the naivete of that idea. I had a whole postpartum workout planned, all paid for. But 3 weeks later, I was completely exhausted and I could not do anything other than just take care of her, barely take care of myself. Sometimes ask for permission to go in the shower and brush my teeth or eat. My husband was doing what he could, but obviously we live in a place where he only gets 6 weeks paternity leave. After that, I was on my own and he was working nights. This also taught me that I needed to find community. And this is something that is very lacking in the West at the moment, especially in the United States. I think some Western European countries are a little bit better with this, that people stick with family. But for me, I realized how much I wanted and needed to be near my own family. I grew up in a wonderful childhood surrounded by family. My uncles, my aunts, my grandparents, even my great grandparents, some of which took care of me when I was a baby. And our daughter, she gets her grandparents to visit every once in a while. So we plan on living here in a little over a year and moving closer to family. That is the goal. I will say though, there are plenty of positives. My daughter's smile just melts my heart and my husband's heart. I would not take it back for even a second. And I realize now that all of the things that I loved doing before, like going to plays, going to new restaurants, that I still love, traveling, those are all distractions that I still want to engage in. Don't get me wrong, they enrich my life. But having a daughter makes it much more meaningful in a way that I did not imagine. I went on a date with my husband on a Saturday evening because my in-laws were in town. And I realized like our life, even though it's messy, it's chaotic, I have baby stuff all over my living room because we have a small house. It just became so much more rich, so much more meaningful. Just in the moments that we get alone are 10 times better, 10 times more important. But regardless, before, when I was here, waiting for my husband to finish residency in this very, very small town where we live, and I didn't have Cece, I had a lot of time to create content if I wanted to go on little walks around the neighborhood, to go to a coffee shop. But I still felt a sense of emptiness and dread that I just don't feel anymore. That has gone away. That has completely gone away. Although I will say, again, the first 6 weeks of the newborn stage, the first 2.5 months, I would say, were actual torture. It was awful. I would never recommend it to anyone to do that without any help. But regardless, we're here. We've made it through. The fact that I made it through and she's healthy and she's a happy baby makes it kind of exciting. And I might do it again. I'm not sure. But I'm not going to be the type of person that has 4, 5 kids, 6 kids, more than that. No way. That's just simply not me. And I think it's fine to recognize that some women are going to be great stay-at-home moms to a lot of children. But this idea that this is the only thing that women should be doing with themselves is something that we really should consider, because we all have very different personalities. Some women are really not cut out to be mothers. Some women are really not. I will say though, when you have children, I think it is very important to stay home with them, for one parent to actually raise the child. I don't really believe in sending them off to daycare. Why? Because there is a loss of attachment that happens almost daily when you're sending your kid off to daycare. With you, when they freak out because they don't know where mom is going, they don't have the same concept that us adults do. But also, and if you don't believe me, go check out Erica Commissar, please. But also, there's the fact that in daycare facilities, there is a constant rotation of daycare workers. They continually try to attach to someone new, and that person then leaves over and over again. So if I ever do any kind of quote unquote daycare, I would probably hire someone to be home with me just to help me along. But the ideal situation for me would be grandma and grandpa, which I stayed with them for a month after I really realized I needed urgent help. And my husband and I traveled to Florida. We stayed with them for a week. He left back to his job, and I stayed for another 3 weeks. And the difference in my level of energy and just everything was night and day. After that, I came back, and it was starting to be a little easier too, because she started getting older and it started getting more manageable. But definitely, I already knew this before I had the baby. Now I am absolutely sure, and I will not recommend anyone having babies or having children without any help around, because not only do you suffer, you the mother, you the parent, but also possibly the baby. I could see in moments of anger that I felt, of desperation, how someone could lose their grip with their baby. I'm someone that I can handle stress and can handle anger in a way that I do not react. But not everyone is like that. A lot of people could lose an impulse and could react really angrily and take it out on its child. In fact, it happens. And that really makes me sad. So please, if you ever are going to have babies, please have help. It's not only for you, it's also for the baby, especially on early wake-ups through the night. The first few weeks for me, whenever the night came, I would feel a sense of dread. I much prefer the daytime than the nighttime, because I knew that the nighttime was just going to be by myself in the room, in a dark room, without being able to leave the bed, and just waiting for the next time that she was going to wake up. I would close my eyes, fully expecting I might not be able to even fall asleep before she wakes up again. It was really difficult. If you see anything on social media that is just a mom having a very easy time with the newborn, it might be the case that that mother is very, very experienced, but it also might be the case, and I think this is more times than not, that they are having a lot of help, especially the ones shooting content. I thought I was going to be doing all of that. I thought she's going to be sleeping so much that I'm going to be able to do all these things. Yeah, that just didn't happen for me. And maybe some babies are easier. That wasn't the case for my daughter. I love her dearly, but she wasn't an easy baby, especially at the beginning. I was definitely not going to be able to shoot content. So the reality that is seen on social media is not the reality for most mothers. And I can see how people let themselves go. I see how people start getting resentful towards their partners. I don't feel that for my husband, but I could see how that could happen, how he could just put on his workout gear and walk out the door and go work out. I could see how all of these things happen, and I could see why a lot of marriages struggle after the first child, especially actually I heard after the second one. Now, with all of that said, I'm a new mom, and again, weird. And that hasn't really taken away my ambition, my love of creation, of creating content, of creativity, of reading. Right now, I just downloaded a book about Catherine the Queen. It hasn't taken that away in any way, shape, or form. I want to still share, and I want to do all of that. My life, though, is chaos, and sometimes organizing myself to do so is a little bit more difficult. Right now, my baby is napping, and I have some saliva on my shirt that thankfully you can't see. I was going to change, but then I realized to change, I would have to go into the room where she's in, and that would disturb her sleep, and that's something that we don't want to do here. not disturbing the baby. So yeah, it just hasn't taken that away. And I am not going to judge a mother for wanting something outside of the role as a mother, who that is a wonderful, beautiful, one of the most important roles ever. But that doesn't take away from the fact that some of us want a little something extra on the side, a little something that we do, that we create outside of the job of motherhood. Because I see it often with people in my family. Once the job is done, or being a mother never is really done, but once those children are grown up and move away, if you didn't cultivate something for yourself, that can hit so much harder. I've seen. Again, I have not experienced this, but I can see how that can happen. We just need to find the balance between actually taking care of our children and not outsourcing childcare, which is something I'm against, but not also the idea that if you don't fully abandon any kind of ambition you had outside being a mother, then you are a bad person. You are not fully embracing your role as a woman. I don't think those messages are helpful. In fact, I think the conservatives that are pushing this idea that is such black and white is actually dissuading some women from having kids at all. From a pronatalist crew, from a pronatalist crowd, that it's actually a bad idea, I think. Regardless, that is what I had to say. If you're a mom or even thinking about becoming a mom, how has your view of womanhood changed? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.